Hey everyone, Mr. MC here. For today's Gran Turismo 7 video, we are here at Tokyo Expressway Central Inner Loop, also known as Tokyo Expressway Central CounterClockwise in the Subaru WX Group 3. And throughout my time in Gran Turismo 7, I've heard that this is one of the harder circuit experiences to get the gold time in. So I'm hoping that with this video, it'll be able to give you an idea about what you need to do to get the gold time. For reference, I'll be doing this on the controller. I'll be in chase cam, so it is a lot easier to see where I'm positioned in the car, and that's also the view I use the most. Traction control will be off, but you can get away with it being at 1, and I have the ABS set to default. But let's go ahead and get started with the lap guide. Actually, before I start, I do want to note that it is possible to change your brake balance and traction control on the fly. If you press D left or D right on your controller, you'll see the multi-function display on the bottom right hand corner of your screen change around, and eventually you'll see when it says brake balance and traction control. For the brake balance, I have it all the way to the back of the car, so it is at +5, and that is to try to get a little more rotation with the car under braking. So I'm going to slow this down because you have to start to brake shortly after you gain control of the car. So you're going to brake about 1.5 seconds into this circuit experience. So the first braking point that I'm using is this pole that is on the left. So I want to show it here before I actually start to brake, because when I start to brake, it is almost off screen for chase cam, and for those in bumper cam, it's already off screen towards your left. So you're braking right here, and you're going to use all of your braking power. Brake in as straight of a line as possible and make your way down to 4th gear. Now I'm going to use this sign on the right as my turning point, and there are quite a few of these signs throughout the Tokyo Expressway tracks that can be extremely useful as your turn in, turn out, and apex points. So I'm using this sign as my turning point, so I'm going to start turning towards the left, and I'm going to start to ease off of the brake, so that's going to let the car turn in a bit better. Now you do want to be careful about turning in too much, because you don't want to hit the wall on the left and get your lap time invalidated. Now I'm looking for the end of the wall that is on the left, basically where this sign is at, as that is my apex, and I can start to gradually get back on the throttle. Now you have to be careful getting back on the throttle, because if you're too aggressive, the car will step out and you do risk hitting the wall, which means game over. You also want to be careful because this turn keeps going for a while, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to wait just a little bit longer after this apex before I start to get back on the throttle. That way, when I fully accelerate my way out, I'll be able to safely bring myself really close to the right side of the track. So I'll wait just a moment and then try to almost fully accelerate my way out, and that way I'm safely bringing myself towards the right side of the track. Now you want to stay towards the right because there's a left turn that immediately turns into a right turn, so you have to get yourself set up for the right turn that is coming up. So because of this, I'm going to turn in just a tad bit later, right around here, to bring myself all the way to the left so I can set myself up for the right turn that comes right after. So by doing this, I'll be able to get a much better exit and exit the right turn with a lot more speed. So you will need to grab 5th gear for just a moment, bring yourself towards the left, and you're going to use the sign on the left as your braking and turning point. So I'm starting to brake, and I'm already going back down to 4th gear, and I'm getting ready to turn in. So I'm going to use around 50% of my braking power, and if you haven't done so yet, go down to 4th gear and start to turn in. Now there are moments where I let the car coast for just a moment, so I'm not braking, I'm not using the throttle input, and this is just to let the car turn in a little more. And I'm going to wait just a little bit after passing the apex before I can start to fully accelerate my way out, because this turn does drag on for just a little bit. Now for this right turn, it can be taken out, but I want you to turn in just a hair bit later after I do, because it is really easy to hit this wall that is on the right, and I got extremely lucky because I actually hit the wall, but for some reason the game decided not to fail me. So I just want to point that out. It's really easy to turn in just a little too early and hit this wall on the right. But other than that, take it flat out. For this left turn though, this is where things get a little tricky. I'm using this traffic pole on the left with the R2 sign as my sign to turn on in, no pun intended. And you want to start to lift off our throttle. That way the car can turn in a bit better and you get yourself set up for these pretty tricky turns. So you want to hit the apex of this left turn right here, but you also need to still keep doing a bit of throttle control for this right turn that comes immediately after. You want to try to bring yourself as close as you can towards the right side of the track because there's another left turn that comes right after, which you actually need to brake for. So stay towards the right or as close as you can towards the right. And you want to use all of your braking power before the red and white chevrons on the left end. That very end of those red and white chevrons on the left is your turning point. So you'll see me already going down to 4th gear to try to get the car to turn in just a little more. And if you time your turning just right, the car will nicely tuck in towards the left side of the track. Now I wait just a little bit after the apex before I start to fully accelerate my way out because this is a bit of a long and dragged out corner. So I don't want to get on the throttle too early and end up hitting the wall. So it's right about here where I start to fully accelerate my way out and I can comfortably bring myself towards the right side of the track. Now if you look a little bit up, you'll see that there is this cute little sign that is hanging out up top, and that is the turning point for this next turn coming up. You will need to lift off of throttle to let the car turn in a bit more as this is a high-speed corner. So you can see me just doing a quick couple of lifts off of throttle. The car will turn in a bit more. Get as close as you can to the apex that is on the left, and you should be able to fully accelerate your way out. Now in a bit you want to bring yourself towards the right side of the track because there's a very quick braking zone right here. So you want to brake before the traffic pole that is on the right that has the little phone sign on it. Use all of your braking power for a very brief moment, and you want to start to turn on in when you reach the sign that is on the right. So go down to 5th gear, and as you start to turn on in, you want to start to ease off of the brakes, so you'll be doing a bit of trail braking. Now here, it is possible to get a little aggressive getting back on the throttle because you can see here, I'm already back at full throttle and I haven't even hit the apex yet. So I just want to point that out that for this left turn, it is possible to be pretty aggressive. Now there's a turn coming up that goes to the right. That can be taken flat out, no problem at all, but bring yourself towards the right. And you want to use a sign on the right as your turning point. Now as you're going through this turn, you have to start to lift off of throttle because there's another left turn coming up very shortly after, and you're coming at it with quite a bit of speed. So you want to do a bit of throttle control, and then you'll need to do more throttle control for this left turn coming up. So here is your next turning point, and you want to keep turning in towards the left. You did see me use a tiny bit of braking, and you can use a little bit of braking if you feel like you're coming into these turns way too quickly, but if you can, you want to try to only do throttle control. You want to try to keep the braking down to a minimum for this section because if you start to use the brakes too much, you're going to lose a lot of speed, which will quickly start to cost you quite a bit of time. So you see me do a lot of throttle control, just letting the car coast for a moment. And there you go. So here's the apex, and it felt like a million years before we finally got to the actual corner. But yeah, this turn is a bit longer dragged out, and you have to be really careful with your throttle control. Now for the final braking zone, you can either use the start of the wall that is on the left or the first red stripe that is on the ground. You will need to brake hard for this corner, and you will go down to 4th gear. So brake in a straight line using all of your braking power, and as soon as you reach the sign that is on the right, that is where you want to start to turn in and start to ease off of the brakes. So by this point you should already be down to 4th gear, but you can exit on 5th gear, that way you don't have to do an upshift as you're going down the final straight. So use this sign on the left as your apex, and you want to carefully get back on the throttle, that way you don't understeer into the wall that is on the left. And with that, go ahead and bring yourself towards the left and finish your lap. And in a moment, we'll go through this again, but this time I will not stop the video, and I'll even include the little webcam on the top right where I was doing this on the controller. So again, you have to brake really soon after you gain control of the car down to 4th gear, and just be really careful with your throttle input to make sure that the car doesn't step out too much. And as you saw right there, bring myself towards the left and brake really sharply for that right turn. This section can be taken flat out, but just be careful about the wall on the right. Lots of throttle control because you have a couple of turns coming at you really quickly down into 4th gear, and this left turn can be taken with a bit of throttle control. You're just trying to carry as much speed as possible, as this is a momentum based track. Bring yourself towards the right, quick burst of braking for this left turn, and you want to quickly get back on the throttle. Now this is probably the trickiest part for me, as this is where I messed up a lot. So for this left turn, you do a little lifting off our throttle. For this second left turn, a little more lifting off our throttle. For this final left turn, get on the brakes. Down into 4th gear for more rotation, back up into 5th gear as you exit the final turn, and go ahead and finish your lap. But we'll go through this one more time, but this time it will be in bumper cam. So let's go ahead and get that started. So again, you have to brake really early after you gain control of your car. So you're braking around 1.5 seconds into this circuit experience, and you want to be really careful getting back on the throttle. Bring yourself towards the left to get yourself set up for this right turn, as you want to get a really fast exit out of this right turn. This right turn can be taken flat out, but be careful about turning in too early and tapping the wall on the right. Lots of throttle control needed for these series of turns. Start to brake right here, down into 4th gear, carefully get back on the throttle. For this left turn, it's all about throttle control, and you can carry quite a bit of speed out of the tunnel. Eventually make your way towards the right side of the track. You'll be braking at full braking power for a really brief moment. Down into 5th gear, you're just trying to carry as much speed as possible. And here comes the trickiest part. At least for me, it was the trickiest part. Bring yourself towards the right side of the track. Use the sign on the right to turn in, lift off our throttle, do some more lifting off our throttle, but for here, use the red stripes as your braking point down into 4th gear for more rotation, exit on 5th gear, and fully accelerate your way out. And with this, I was able to get a 111.858. And that is it for this circuit experience guide. If you like this video, or this video helped you out, please do hit the like and the subscribe button. But that's going to be it for me. This is Mr. CA, and I'll see you in the next video.